What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. TGIF to all my subscribers. We made it to another week. Now it's time to get ready for the weekend. Everybody be safe. I ran across an article in Boxing Scene. Bob Arum, the Bob father, made some interesting comments about the Anthony Joshua Kubrat Pulev negotiation. He says, looks like, well, he don't say it looks like, but he says that fight is heading to purse bid. He says Pulev is not happy about the site of the fight. He don't want to fight in the UK. Now, you know, Eddie Hearn mentioned 2 venues in the UK that could possibly stage the fight. And he basically said in the recent days that the fight was pretty much agreed to, and it was just a matter of dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Bob Arum is saying that's a lie. Once again, Eddie the con artist is out here selling propaganda, smoking mirrors, you know, and saying things that ain't true. Now, Kubrat Pulev and his team saying they want a level playing field, and they don't think it's going to be a level playing field fighting over there in the UK. They're not happy with the British Board of Commission, the BBOC, as they call it down there. Not happy with that. As you know, you can look at, recent fights over there. You look at the Dillian Whyte, Oscar Rivas situation, where they swept that situation under the rug with the positive PED test that Dillian Whyte failed. They tried to sweep that under the rug. They didn't notify Oscar Rivas they didn't notify Oscar Rivas and his team that Dillian Whyte failed the drug test. The whole loaded glove situation, where the gloves they agreed to before the fight were changed at the last minute leading up to the fight. They did not let Oscar Rivas' team know that they were switching gloves. All they know is when they came into the locker room to look at the gloves that Dillian Whyte had put on a different pair of gloves than they agreed to before the fight. So a lot of shady stuff going on, man, in the UK, man. And Bob Arum is not finna get played like a funky piano. He's not gonna get played out there in the UK. He wants everything on a level playing field, and they'll be more than happy to go to a purse bid. Now, if you can remember, this situation occurred another time with Pulev and Dillian Whyte. That fight went to purse bid, and guess what? It was some kind of businessman, and they had Turkey ties in the country of Turkey, but had a promotional company down, and I think in New York. They outbidded Eddie Hearn in Matchroom and got the rights to that fight. And then right after that, Eddie Hearn pulled Dillian Whyte away from that fight against Pulev. They pulled him out of there. That was supposed to have been for a mandatory spot in the IBF. And he pulled Dillian Whyte out of there. So it's going to be interesting to see once they go to purse bid. March 3rd is the date of the purse bid. If Top Rank is going to probably be bidding on it, Matchroom going to be bidding on it. But will that same company that outbidded Eddie Hearn the first time for the Whyte Pulev fight, will that same third party come in and bid on this fight? It's going to be very interesting to see. Or maybe Bob Arum and Top Rank outbid Matchroom. It's going to be very, very interesting. If Bob Arum outbids him, you rest assured that fight's not going to be in the UK. They're going to put that fight most likely in the US or maybe Turkey. It's going to be very, very interesting, man. Eddie Hearn them does have a fallback plan. They could just vacate the title and fight Usyk for the WBO title. They could do that in June. But he's out here again running his mouth, basically saying Usyk and Derek Chisora fight is already signed and agreed to. I think that fight is supposed to take place sometime in late March or early May, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, if you got the specific date. But I know they've been talking about that date, but it might not have been signed, sealed, and delivered. Signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. Stevie Wonder. If you young whippersnappers don't know about R&B Motown days, man, a legend, Stevie Wonder. But let's get back to the task at hand. So that maybe, like I said, Eddie Hearn be talking out the side of his neck so much, lying out here, lying and stuff. He might have just been saying that fight was agreed to, but if he was smart, he would not have that fight signed already. He would have that fight just, have the contracts already written up and everything, but don't have that fight actually signed by Usyk and Chisora, where they're bound to that contract. Just have everything ready in case, in a case that Joshua and Pulev go ahead and fight. But if that fight is not going to take place and they vacate the belt and let Pulev fight the next highest ranked opponent, then he would have to go ahead and fight Usyk, and that would leave Derek Chisora out in the cold. So he would have to try to find another fight. So we'll see what happens, man. But Eddie Hearn is once again out here lying, man. Basically making it look like, oh, man, it's done deal. It's pretty much done, man. It's a 95% done. Now this, that, and the third, and that's not even the case, man. The fight is nowhere close to being done according to Bob Arum. So we'll see what happens, man. Another example of shady business out there in the UK. You remember when Anthony Joshua fought Carlos Takam? You remember they stopped that fight for no reason at all? Takam was coming on strong, man. He was getting his mojo. And all of a sudden, they stopped that fight. Turned out that AJ had a broken nose. He said it was from a headbutt. But the fight was getting rough and rugged. And the referee saved the day, came in and saved the day like Superman, and stopped the fight and gave the decision to Anthony Joshua, which was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So we're going to see what's going on. We're going to see what transpires, man. But, you know, Eddie Hearn and them can, you know, they still got a little leverage. I ain't going to say they got no leverage, but Eddie Hearn has always loved the fact that AJ holds 3 belts. He tried to throw that IBO minor league belt in there, but he holds 3 of the 4 major belts in the WBA, the IBF, and the WBO. If he was to get vacate that IBF, because he doesn't want to come to the U.S. again, because, you know, he got stage fright the last time he came to the U.S. when he was knocked out by Andy Ruiz. And he quit in that fight, too, by the way. You know, if they vacate that title and he loses the IBF title, then he just is a WBO and a WBA title holder. Fury's got the WBC, and the IBF would go to the Pulev and whoever he's fighting, the highest rank available opponent that's in the ranking of the IBF, that person would have the other belt. So, and that would be a dent to the ego and a dent to matchroom boxing if they would lose that other belt, man. That's the one thing they always say, who's got the most belts? Who's got all the belts? We got 3 of the 4 belts. We're the #1 heavyweight. You know, even though everybody and their mama saying now that Tyson Fury is the #1 heavyweight after defeating Klitschko, defeating Wilder, defeating both longest reigning title holders, beating both of those guys, and never losing those belts that AJ has in the ring. He lost those belts outside of the ring. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what transpires, man. But that's just something that Bob Arum said, came out in Boxing Scene. Interesting comments. I don't know if a lot of people saw that, man, but it was on Boxing Scene. I think they took it off of Boxing Scene website now, but I caught it this morning. Didn't get a chance to do a video this morning, man. I was doing some things at work and, you know, of that nature. Didn't get a chance to do that, but that's what's going on, man. It's looking like Anthony Joshua and Kubrat Pulev is heading to purse bid, so things going to get very interesting March 3rd. And if Matchroom don't win that purse bid, what will be their next move? Will they just vacate the belts because they don't want to come to the U.S. and fight Pulev, or they don't want to go to Turkey, Pulev home country, and fight? What would they do? What would be their next move on the chessboard? Because it's obviously they think Pulev is the easier fight than Usyk, because otherwise they would have took the Usyk fight before. They took the Pulev fight for a reason. They think he's the weaker link of the 2 fighters. So it'll be interesting to see where they just let the belt get stripped from him and go ahead and take a tougher fight in Usyk. Would they just you know, if they lose the purse bid, have to bow down and end up coming to the U.S. and say, I don't care if it is in New York. You know, Madison Square Garden, the scene of the crime when I lost the last time. I don't care. I can beat Pulev. Pulev ain't Andy Ruiz. I think I can go in there and beat him. The new style I have implemented under the leadership of Vladimir Klitschko, the jab and grab technique that he learned from Vladimir Klitschko, I can implement that on Pulev. He's an older guy that's had a lot of wear and tear. He's not a fresh fighter by no means. I can actually get the decision or get a late stoppage over Pulev. So we'll see what Eddie Hearn and Papa Hearn do on March 3rd, man. We'll see what happens, and we'll see what transpires. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.